This is ECDP Television. You are on the edge with Seema Anand. Welcome to ECDP Television. You are watching The Edge with Seema Anand. The Edge has been sponsored by the Essex Cultural Diversity Project, and it's a program where we try and look at all the new and exciting things that are happening in the arts and all the incredible artists who are making it happen. And my guest today, our incredible, amazing artist with The Edge, is Josephine Melville. Now, most of you will remember Josephine or Jo from programs like The Bill and from Pie in the Sky, which was actually one of my favorite programs. If you're my age, you'll remember that one particularly. She was on EastEnders. But today we're looking at Jo's work within the community. Jo is the chair and the founder of the South Essex African Caribbean Association and has done some incredible work supporting and bringing to the forefront issues that the community is facing over there. Jo, welcome.
Hi, Seema. Thank you so much for having me.
You know what? It's an absolute pleasure. I've been reading up about all the incredible work that you've been doing, and I just want to hear all about it. I mean, the more I read about you, the more I want to know. So tell me a little bit more about the foundation that you run, the South Essex African Caribbean Association.
Yes, originally it was more of an informal community group, and the whole idea was about when I moved to Southend, a lot of family and friends at the time said to me, what are you going to Southend for? There are no black people up there, you're going to be isolated. What are you doing? But actually, there is a black community up here. But when I arrived, it was very fragmented. So we're talking like over 18 years ago now. And they were very far and few between. You'd see one black family, they wouldn't know the other black family. And I'm such a talker. I'd be like, hello, hello, up in people's business. And then I'm like, wait, you don't know this one? So I would organize picnics in the parks and barbecues on the beach, just put the call out to families. And then they would turn up. And then it created a kind of community network, which was really inspiring because it wasn't only just about the elders kind of getting together, it was about really the children. So it was always intergenerational. We were always looking at not only supporting us, but supporting our children as well, so that they knew each other and that there was that kind of community cohesion that we lacked so much of. And then over the years, events just took on one form after another. We did an amazing event for International Women's Day a couple of years ago, and we invited Professor Dame Elizabeth Anyanwu down to kind of talk. And, she's an amazing woman. She was the founder of Sickle Cell Society in London. And she's been given a damehood. She has written a book, and just, so we invited her down, and she's an amazing inspiration within her nursing field as well. And we had her as a guest speaker, and then we had over 50 women, business, female entrepreneurs in the one space, using it as a platform to share their work. And so things like that didn't happen unless you kind of, took the reins into your own hands and said, you know what, we need to have this, we need to make this happen. And my thing is all about collaboration, working with different people. So I was very lucky to be working with women from Colchester that assisted with that. And it was a wonderful time. I mean, then we kind of put on events for Windrush, where we weren't just looking at the one-day event for Windrush Day. For us, it was about kind of building a series of events that happened throughout the months from the start and the launch of Windrush Day. But it was about kind of cultivating, taking us back in time. What would we do? Looking at the history, planting food, allotments, growing crops. That's very important in our culture. And then they grow and we harvest them. And at the harvest time, there is always a bit of a celebration. So we kind of looked at those kind of trajectories as well, which then developed a lot of stories that would come into the fore, because then it's about the memories and the histories people's, especially the elders, their journeys here into Southend, and then we would culminate it with a bit of a celebration. And, whenever I do an event, you have got to have music. There's got to be music, there's got to be dancing, there's got to be food, because that's all part of our culture. So
I know it's just incredible, isn't it? I mean, that is what creates community, isn't it? It's just that shared the shared memories and the shared stories going ahead.
Absolutely. And it was only recently that, a lot of the community had said to me, Jo, listen, you need to kind of move this forward. And so I approached trustees, people to come on board and assist me and support me. And I've been very lucky because I have some wonderful people around me. And finally, in 2019, because it's not easy to set up a charitable company, but we managed to achieve that. And so South Essex African Caribbean Association is now a charitable organization. And my trustee...
Well done, you.
Thank you. But again, I say, it's not just me. I have wonderful trustees, Sarah Bedell, Patrick Graham, Shauna Creary, Tanisha Baxter. And why am I saying it like that? Yes. And together, we're kind of making leaps and bounds in terms of kind of projects and things that we can do here to make a difference. So it opened up a lot more doors.
Just to bring people together. Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right when you said that, you need that community. And so many of us actually are lacking that community, even though there are so many other people of our community around us and we don't know them.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things. It wasn't just about the African Caribbean families in the area. It was also about breaking down those cultural barriers, because I really do believe that the area is changing. It's much more diverse now, and it's so important for us to, open up. And if we break down those cultural barriers, that's where the community cohesion is, and we can build that support network that's possible, and we can learn about different kind of cultures and they can learn about us. It's important as we move forward. There's a lot of mixed race relationships now, so when I say that the area is diverse, I think it's important to bear those things in mind.
And Jo, you've done a lot of work with ECDP over the years, haven't you? Particularly, you mentioned the Windrush Project. You did something with them for the Windrush Project as well.
Yes. Indy, who is very much the kind of champion and leader of ECDP, is amazing support, and we have connected over the years on many occasions, and he's always there for you, which is amazing, which is wonderful, because it's about kind of connecting and joining the dots. And yes, during the Windrush Project, we went down to Tilbury, and I think he was creating a film around kind of heritage and people's journeys. And my family would have been arriving at that time, and it's really, my father actually would have come on the Windrush boat, and so that to me was like, I am part of that legacy. It is part of my history. And that was the first time joining him on that occasion that I've been to Tilbury. So it was a very moving experience for me, because I'd never really thought about it or been there before, even though I'm in Southend. It's like, it's not even far. But it never dawned on me to go and have a look. And then when suddenly I was there, and it was so moving. It was really to think that actually they arrived, they came on this tunnel, they drew, and they were in this station, and then everybody kind of disseminated off into London. It was very poignant time. And actually, it was only after that you suddenly realize. I remember as an actress, I did a comedy sketch show, and one of the sketches, I was playing the daughter of somebody, and we were coming down that tunnel. But I only, you know how you forget things? And I only remembered it after suddenly being in this environment. I didn't even tell anybody that bit. But, there are lots of little, it's like a jigsaw puzzle that suddenly all comes together, and you're like, oh my God. And this is what made me the person that I am.
It's like a floodgate. And like you said, I think it needs a little tiny stimulus. It needs a little trigger. And then suddenly it just comes back to you. And it kind of makes you realize a little bit about, we all live in the UK now. We're all part of a whole different community, which is very multicultural, etc. But I do believe also as someone who's moved here from another land and become part of this new world, I do think that knowing your own roots and knowing part of who you were before you arrived here is so important going forward for your new identity.
Absolutely, that's always part of the saying, especially in the Caribbean culture. I think it's worldwide anyway, the whole idea of kind of, you've got to know your history to be able to move forward. So I think that is very, very important. And, you know, in this day and age now, with everything that has happened, it is kind of like the lid has come off, and it's so important. I mean, you know, when I reflect back, I wasn't taught Black history when I was at school. It wasn't. You were taught history. But it was only when I left school and being an artist and working with the, you know, Black Theatre Co-op, where I suddenly, I was immersed in all of this history. I was like, what? Why didn't somebody tell? Why didn't I know? How come? And for me, there was a sadness there, because I wasn't articulate enough to kind of, you know, fight my corner, because as far as I was concerned, the history that I got was, you know, it was like, we came from the 8th. I'm like, how? So then you constantly have that drama. You constantly have the drama of people kind of treating you like some kind of an animal, whether they touch your hair or not, or how they kind of react to you. All these things that kind of get bottled up and pushed down and compressed and compressed and compressed. With the unfortunate death of George Floyd, the killing of George Floyd, and the Black Lives Matter, and people just kind of saying, do you know what? No more. And for me, it's important that our young people, because that's where it's at, we need to be able to pass that baton on, and we need to understand our history. As much as it might be challenging, we have to know the good and the bad, because otherwise it's just not fair.
You're so right. You're absolutely, absolutely spot on with that. So is that what is behind? I know that you've just done this thing with ECDP about the Stand Up for Diversity, and you're collaborating with Snapping the Stiletto. So is this the idea behind that particular collaboration, where you're kind of re-examining the Essex girl image, etc.?
Yeah, in a way, there is, I was invited, you know, Kaylee Boyle, who is one of the producers for Snapping the Stiletto, came to me and she said, if you had a project, what would you want to do? And I said, well, definitely something around hair, Black women and their hair, because that in itself is a controversial project and so topical right now. I mean, whether you look at Black women in business, whether it be male or female, you know, children in education, how they have their hair, how they style their hair, what they do with their hair has become like a major issue. And, you know, maybe it was things that was hidden before, but now it's just come to the forefront. I mean, I always tell the story of, I remember being in school and, you know, back in the day, had the little ribbons and everything. That was all good. It was all plaited up. But as you got older, it's like, okay, I want to style myself. I'm a big girl now. I'm doing things. So I took my hair out and I picked it out and I had this massive afro and I thought, yay, rocking it. Look good. It works. Walked into school and then I got sent to the headmaster. And I was told by the headmaster that my hair looked like a white girl's hair in a mess. And so I am being suspended, go home and sort that out. So my fear was, oh my God, I thought I looked good, but all of a sudden, this is not right, this is not how you should be. And my biggest fear was my parents finding out that I'd been suspended. Not what had happened to me and maybe how they could help me to address that, but the fact that, oh my God, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. Because it was a Eurocentric idea of how somebody should have their hair. And that for me was a trauma that I didn't even realize until suddenly I'm able to do this project, Know Your Roots. So it's all about Black women and their hair. It's kind of under the banner, I think it's funded by Heritage Lottery, but ECDP are, you know, housing a lot of what's being involved. But I'm also, as I said earlier, all about collaboration. So I'm working with two wonderful women, one that's in Colchester, and her name is Elizabeth Alec Akinyemi from the Boaz Project, and another woman from Basildon who is called Fads Mujandazo. And so what we're doing, and me here, so I'm kind of coordinating it all. And just the idea of having Black women in a room talking about hair, that was enough. It was always going to kick off. It was always going to be, controversial, let's put it like that. But it's been amazing. So what we kind of look at, the headlines are the ancestral, because at the end of the day, back in our culture, you know, how people style their hair, how they wore their hair, could identify what tribe they was from, where they came from, where their heritage was. And as we kind of went through slavery, our hair was cut off or our hair was hidden because it was, for whatever reason, that's a whole nother politics that we're going to look into. But then there's also the educational side, because, you know, now there are some young people that don't even know how to plait hair. Do you know what I mean? And it would be good. It's something I remember sitting in between my mother's legs and having her plait my hair, you know, at the weekend, ready for the week. And if I kind of moved, I got the conch in the head, like, just keep still, keep still. So there's certain things that kind of evoke memories, but also the idea of being able to do it now. I found out that there are many women, elder women, who don't even know how to plait hair. So I'm like, well, where did you learn, or how did you? Then it's the whole hairdressing side. And then there's the scientific side of actually, what are those chemicals that we are putting in our hair, and how dangerous is it? And disproportionately, Black women are much more affected because they are doing this and they don't even know, because some of the chemicals are not even identified on the packaging. Do you know what I mean? So there's the ancestral, the educational, and the scientific. And then on top of that, it's women, Black women, and their hair stories. And it's not, I mean, I'm titling it Know Your Roots. So, and we are looking at African Caribbean people of color at the moment. But as I said, because it's that very diverse, you know, you're going to have mixed race children that are, you know, children of dual heritage, that it will be informative for them too. So along the way, we will look at maybe hair workshops where you can learn how to plait hair. We will have, you know, ultimately, we want to have like an exhibition or a festival further down the road of everything that's kind of been collated in our journey. 1, we gather women from Southend. 2, we gather women from Colchester. 3, we gather women from Basildon. Then we bring them all together for an amazing kind of culmination of just Black beauty, baby.
May I come?
You absolutely can come.
As you can see, I'm going through my own hair revolution, as you can see. And I decided this time, and this actually started pre-COVID, so this is not a COVID thing, but I decided that I was just going to enjoy every step of this weirdness, you know, and go for every bit of the look.
And Seema, I would say to you that it's not weirdness. Can you stop that now? I've told you once, I'm going to tell you again. Embrace that natural beauty, okay? Embrace it. However you want to have your hair, as long as you feel comfortable and you feel happy, that's what's important right now.
Thank you. I absolutely love it, which is why, like I said, I'm going with it. And I'm actually quite enjoying the fact that it's, you know, it's just, yeah, it's just taking its own path.
This is you. And sometimes, you know, there is that other thing about, you know, how much kind of we do to our hair and the processing of our hair. And sometimes it is about just leaving it, let it be.
And I think, you know,
I remember my hair was this small. It was this tiny. I'd cut it off. I'd gone bald. I'd gone through all kinds of phases. And now it's at this length. And, you know, I'm like, wow, I would never have believed that my hair would have got this long. And I think there are some people that think, oh, because Black women think their hair can't grow long, but it can. And, you know, back in the day, we used to have cardigans. I'm part of a group called the BB Crew, which is Black female actresses, quite famous in their own right. Suzanne Packer, Beverly Michaels, Judith Jacobs, Suzette Llewellyn. These people are doing like series, and Janet Kay and Joanne Campbell, who has now passed away. But the point was, we created this show, and we looked at the 7 stages of women, and part of that was being young girls. What did we do? We used to wear cardigans on our heads. Now, there may be some people that remember it, and it's not only Black people, and we used to be given it this, all of this, because we didn't have long hair, so we used the cardigans to kind of emulate that. So
that is adorable.
Again, all compounded. But the BB Crew had an opportunity to kind of bring that to life, and we did national tours. We went to America. We had a little documentary made about us. So it's been a wonderful. That's why I call myself a creative practitioner, because I don't like to be put in the box. I think we have an opportunity to show and share our talents, and I think those things are important.
They absolutely are. And I just think for me, the most important thing that comes out of every single thing that I hear you say is just giving people back their identity. You know, bringing a community back together gives them the courage to explore their own identity. And I think identity is just, I mean, it's the basis of everything that you do. Your brain needs that identity before it can move forward.
And I think you're absolutely right. And I think that's why, you know, identity, then we're looking at equality, and then we're looking at actually how can we get more equality and equity in that. We need to have more governance. So we need to have more people in places of power and not be blinded by the science, because there's a lot of time that we're afraid to think, oh, well, I can't be a chair. I can't, you know, I don't want to be in that room because, you know, I don't feel comfortable. But actually, if we're going to make a change, we need to be in those environments. So I am on boards. I do. That's part of who I am and what I do. I think unless you're in the room, you know, you can't help to advocate for change. So for me, it's about being, you know, trying to, and I'm not like just going to come and beat down the door and mash up all your, you know, it's not about that. It's about saying, you know, being articulate, being clear and saying, actually, there's another way to look at things. And can you be open to that? And in these challenging times, that is a fear, but sometimes the fear is what's going to make the difference.
You know what? I'm just in awe of how much you do within the community. I really am. I kind of read up about you before we came to do this interview, and I just thought, my God, this girl really gets out there and she's amazing. Because one of the things that you're doing, and again, it's, I think, being supported by ECDP, is stepping out. Tell us a little bit about stepping out.
Yeah, because when I kind of created that project with one of our trustees, Sarah Bedell, and we looked at how we could develop it, I was being asked, you know, it wasn't even being asked. The elderly were coming to me with the different stories about their mental health and well-being during the coronavirus at the very beginning. Who knew? Who knew we were going to be in these really troubled times? And the idea of developing the project Stepping Out came out, and ECDP said, Jo, you want to do something? Come on, we'll help you, we'll support you. And I'm like, well, I don't have a charity. This is why one of the reasons why the charity got started, in terms of like, you need to sort all the paperwork out, you need to get on it. Indy was very positive, and he said, listen, we've got your back, don't worry, you know, just keep moving forward and we will help you to make this work. So yes, it is kind of like he's like my big brother going in there, and we created the project. I interviewed people all over Essex about how they were feeling, and I really just wanted to get a sound bite so that then I could create a project called Stepping Out that would give them encouragement and to reinforce that this is not going to last forever. So at some point we'll be able to put on our glad rags and go somewhere. We're going to step out that door. So just give me an idea of how you're feeling now. Oh my word, Seema. That was like red flag to a bull, because it was people wanted to talk. So that 5 minutes became like an hour on some occasions, because then they would open up and then it would they would be telling about their history. And I was honored, and it was a privilege to have this information shared with me. So I wanted to make sure that I was true to their voices in terms of being able to edit this down, because I couldn't use an hour of the material. So I would make sure that that gets utilized in another way. The point is, the interviews that I held were in gardens, on the street, on the beachfront, socially isolated distancing, on the phones, in any way that made people feel comfortable, but just so I could help and get their stories. And then people started saying, oh gosh, this is it's really good, Jo. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to talk to you, because I wasn't talking about it to anybody. So there became that revelation about the project, and it was an empowering thing as well. So I have a little trailer. I don't know whether you'll include that. I will send that to you. But the point is, unfortunately, we weren't able to have that physical exhibition, that physical final exhibition, because the idea was to take a picture and then have their story so that you could hear it. So it's kind of going to be an online thing until there is an opportunity. Things are changing now. Maybe there will be a chance. Oh, there will be a chance actually, for at least to kind of gather, because I was collaborating with another artist called Eve Wright, who you may know. He's done the Tilbury Walkway of Memories, that same tunnel, very famous. He has utilised all the windows in there, putting up pictures of elders and people that have arrived during that time of the Windrush. And he's created an interactive exhibition, and CETA members are heavily contributed into that. So they are up in the window. So we are going to get dressed and go out and go and see this exhibition. So it will have the cycle that it was meant to have, but it kind of took a lot of different roads along the way.
That's amazing. You know, I was trying to do a similar sort of thing with a lot of the elderly from the Asian community about trying to get out, just, you know, trying to get them to, so I created a set of stories called the 3,000 Step Stories.
Okay.
And they were just basically stories with a little bit of music in the background to give you a bit of a beat, and something that'll take about half an hour, about 3,000 steps approximately, just so that you could plug that in and walk out, so that you're not kind of thinking, oh my God, can I really get out there? Can I not, you know, etc.
And I'm hearing you, because obviously during the whole process, you know, it was one thing, and then you kind of did the evaluation, we were getting to the end. But as the restrictions started to relax, you know, I was saying that we were out, we were in, you were locked in, you're in, you're out, you shake it all about. We didn't know what was going on. But the responses from the elders after a period of time was, Jo, you know, I said I wasn't going to take the vaccination and everything. Well, I just want my life back, Jo. I just want peace of mind. So I'm going to take it, all right? I'm going to take, and I just wanted to phone you up and tell you that I would change my mind. So it's been a real kind of process. I think more information coming out, that more education, kind of more advice, has kind of convinced people that actually, if, you know, the way forward for us right now is about taking the vaccination. So it's each to, you know, their own, but if that's the decision that they want to make, then you have to abide by that, and you kind of look at the material that I've been creating as well to kind of address that.
That's amazing. So as we bring our conversation, you know what, I could just chat to you for the rest of the day very happily, but I don't think that either our schedule or our phones or our cameras will handle an entire day of conversation.
Maybe not today, Seema, but I could always come back, because I think you're such an interesting person. We were talking about the Kama Sutra earlier. Listen, that's a program in itself. Maybe we'll do the reverse and I'll interview you.
That sounds like a great idea. We shall do that at some point. But tell me, before we actually come off this particular chat, is there any kind of message you'd like to leave everybody with?
Oh, I don't think I mentioned the Hamlet Court Road in Harmony Festival. I'm organising a festival. I am part of a committee. I am coordinating it, and I will be co-hosting it. It will be in Westcliff-on-Sea on Sunday, the 25th of July, and it is called the Hamlet Court Road in Harmony Festival. Westcliff, the area itself in Southend, is such a diverse area. And again, it's about the community cohesion, bringing people together. So we will have the road blocked off. We will have a series of stands and stalls promoting the businesses in the area, giving them a platform. We will also have a stage of performers, singers, dancers, spoken word artists, musicians, across the board. We've even got a magician and some great headliners. So that is going to be very, very exciting. And it's the pilot project. So, you know, you are more than welcome to come down and join us.
I absolutely plan to. I've got that written down, and I will be over there. So this is the Hamlet Court Road Harmony Project in Southend.
The Hamlet Court Road in Harmony Festival, which will be in Westcliff-on-Sea in Southend on Sunday, the 25th of July. And if you need any further information, I'm sure you're going to have my email details up there so that people can connect If they, want to attend or if they want to perform, come on, bring it. We would be glad to receive you.
That sounds amazing. And I think at the end of every chat, I realize, and I say it every time, that it's just so incredible that there are organizations like ECDP around that make it possible for individuals and artists to kind of realize their dreams and make things happen, because there has to be a starting point and there has to be somebody saying, I got your back, go on, I'm going to help you do it. And then you just blossom from there.
Yeah, and for me, like I said, it's all about collaboration. I would say it's all about collaboration. And someone said to me, collaboration, not competition, which is a beautiful tag on to the end. And ECDP are there. South Essex Afro-Caribbean Association are here in Southend. We have different creative cultural organizations like the Third Space in town who have taken over a shop and making it a community hub that I'm associated and linked with. We have other organizations in Colchester, in Basildon, across, and I think that's the important thing, because the more I did an event called In Conversation, and it was looking at the creative cultural offer here in Essex, and that was like opening up a can of worms, because we just like came out of the woodwork. People came out and just said, oh, I'm doing something. And you're like, wait, where have all these people come from? And it was amazing. So we need more initiatives like that to bring the community, to bring those grassroots organizations together, to have the leverage and support, because together we are more powerful.
That's an absolutely amazing way of putting it. And Jo, thank you so much for just being over here with us today. It's been such a joy talking to you.
You are more than welcome. I have had an amazing afternoon, and you're right. We could chat more. When you're ready, Seema, bring it on.
Absolutely.
Well, that was Josephine Melville, and I have to say that I've just had so much fun chatting with her, and I hope that you've actually got a lot of information and help and possibilities of collaborations from there as well. ECDP are always over there in case you need to get in touch with them about artist advice or just about help in setting up or setting off. They are on EssexCDP.com, and if you need to get in touch with Jo, she is on lime@post.com, and we will put all of these details in the description so you won't have any trouble finding it. And of course, there is the festival that Jo just mentioned, which is on the 25th of July, and I want to get the name right. It's the Hamlet Court Road in Harmony Festival, which will take place on Westcliff on Sea in Southend, and I certainly hope that now with all these restrictions that have been lifted, we will see almost everybody out there. Well, do come down, because it'll be a fantastic day out. If you've enjoyed watching this program, if you've actually found it really useful, do like, comment, subscribe. We will see you over here very soon, and in the meantime, stay safe. This is ECDP Television. You are on the edge with Seema Anand.